Welcome, everyone, to episode number 93 of Manifesting with Meg, Conversations with Extraordinary People. I am so excited to introduce all of you. You probably already know her. She is a wonderful author, New York Times bestseller, Julie Cantrell, and we're talking about a life led in creative abundance. So join us, join the conversation. I can't wait to actually introduce all these wonderful concepts in the month of May, which is the month of awakening creativity. And let me tell you guys, this is really a wonderful opportunity. Come those April showers turn into May flowers, and we all get to play in the universal nature of abundance and wonderful paint our dreams, welcome the rainbows, welcome the stars, and all of the above. As we talk about tonight, her wonderful book, Perennials. So without further ado, this is a show about transformation, dreams, inspiration, true happiness, discovering bliss. And of course, you're just one conversation away from extraordinary. Time to wake up to a universe packed with possibility. Welcome, Julie. I'm so happy to have you here with me tonight.
Meg, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here and get to share time with you. And it's just going to be fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Leslie saying hello to both of us, and away we go. One of the things I love about this show is that I get to follow and play with my magical guide to bliss, and I'm going to show it in the stream. And one of the things I ask all my guests to do is set an intention. I always do. I always want to offer and bring wonderful content to all of you. And I just love Julie's energy. So I know whatever she's going to bring and actually send out to you in the universe, it's going to be even amazing too. So I always ask to set the intention for tonight. At the end of the show, you send me the number and that magical guide, and that will correspond hopefully with what your wish is to the universe tonight. We all know the drill. Suzanne's here saying hello to both of us. Thank you so much, guys. And away we go. I get to introduce this rock star to all of you. She's a multiple award-winning New York Times and US Today best-selling author, editor, and story coach, TEDx speaker, and ghostwriter. So as if one thing was not enough and that would knock us off our socks, it's all of the above. She served as editor-in-chief of the Southern Literary Review and has received the Mississippi Arts Commission Literary Arts Fellowship, which is so impressive. She also received the Rivendell Writers Colony Mary Elizabeth Nelson Fellowship and the Pat Conway Writers Residency Fellowship. This is a serious writer. Tonight we have her novels have earned star reviews from Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, and have been featured in top reads lists by LitHub, Redbook, Southern Living Magazine, Real Simple, BookBub, HuffPost, USA Today, and more. And all of you authors who are listening know what a challenging, wonderful, a feat of accomplishment that is. So I want to recognize and celebrate all of that with you over the course of your career. What you've done is amazing. And as a novelist for the Pat Conway Southern Book Prize. Oh my gosh, how accomplished are you? But this is my favorite part, to be quite honest. You work with survivors of abuse, and her service as a literary advocate is just quite commendable. I think especially because of the need that's out there right now, and what you're doing for that community is making a difference. And you're also a member of the Tall Poppy Writers, which is one of my friend Ann Garvin. I'd like to shout out to her, and the Author Talk Network, and your Novel Collective, 3 organizations that promote the power of story and elevate female voices. Everybody empowering the females is where we go. Yep. But I love this too, because you are a part of your family's small scale sustainable farm where you milk goats, raised sheep, boarded horses, gathered eggs, and harvested fresh honey. Now, I live in Miami. We don't have that here. So I'm always curious as to what kind of life that is and whether or not that's always something you dreamt of doing. So that's a question that I'm going to have for you. But you love every corner of this beautiful world, which I think is something, I think everyone sits in their little hovel and says, oh my God, why can't I go there with it? And if you recognize the beauty all around you, it changes everything. And I do want to give a shout out to her people. She is living in Houston, Texas, where you find great pleasure in helping to shepherd other people's stories to shelves. I had the pleasure of meeting you through the pod community and the Instagram community. I have loved getting to know you. You put a lot of wonderful content out there. We'll talk about at the end where they can find you. But wow, Julie, did I miss anything?
That's embarrassing. Thank you. That was very kind of you. That was very sweet.
Well, it's
Yeah.
really not embarrassing. It's like what I do like to recognize a lot of the way, we slog through. And when we come up for air, you're like, I did that. I did that. Sometimes hearing it read back to you is like you stand a little taller because, when you started, I imagine maybe that's not what you thought you were going to actually do. So let me ask you, this life led in creative abundance, when you started, was that a goal or dream that you had in mind? And how did you start this wonderful, fabulous journey of yours?
That's a really good question, Meg. Yeah, I mean, every time I hear somebody read a bio or anything about me, I'm sitting there going, I don't think that's me. I still haven't quite connected with that identity. And you can tell I'm just a very laid back nature girl. I've just come in from the garden, and it's just kind of out of check with me sometimes when I hear all of that combined. But no, I wrote in secret my first novel, Into the Free. I wrote from 3 to 5 in the morning, didn't tell anybody, and I had no intentions of publishing it. I knew nothing about publishing.
Wow.
And then even when I dared to try to publish it, I had no goals whatsoever except to maybe try to see if somebody would put it out there. So everything on top of that was just icing on the cake and a total bonus and a total joy. I had no strategy, no goals, nothing. I was just writing for the joy of writing, truly.
Wow. In your very beautiful life, what did you start out doing when you jumped into the world and tried to see how you could fly?
Yeah, well, I never took a writing class. So I actually have my master's in communication disorders. So I'm a certified speech language pathologist.
Wow.
So my background's very different than writing, but it is language and communication and helping people and serving people and connecting people. And I've always been an avid reader, and I've always been a writer, but I never dreamed or had any idea how to make a living out of doing anything like that. I came from very rural Louisiana. I had no models. I'd never met an author. I had zero models of anybody who made a living in the arts. It was a very blue collar town. I had a single mom who was a school teacher. I mean, this was just another world for me.
Wow.
So I always say I came into publishing through the back door with bare feet, and I knew nothing. And that's the truth. I mean, I've just kind of learned by trial and error and made a lot of mistakes, but I'm not afraid of mistakes. I just learn from each mistake,
Okay, I do love that. Came through the back door, well, you said with bare feet, right? I love that. Okay. Here I am. Let's see what we can do with this party, for sure.
Right, yeah.
You said you make mistakes, but anyone looking at your bio or listening to what you've done, we're so incredibly impressed. The New York Times bestseller, USA Today bestseller, bringing really beautiful content. And I can't wait to share the quotes from Perennials. And I would have actually added the other book as well, but I couldn't get the copy of the book because it's my technological whiz, right? But I was, I did love the quotes that you put on with the other book too. It was beautiful, beautiful. But that's what you write. You write beauty. And is that why? How? How did it come out of you?
I write pain too. I write hard stuff, hard topics, but I write it with a deliverance of hope and, forgiveness and beauty and gratitude and love. And I think all of my stories explore the difficulties we face on the human journey, especially healthy versus unhealthy relationships, how we interact with one another, and how we deal with life's hurts and still come out on the other side with our hearts open and our souls intact so that we can keep loving and being loved after we're shredded, by the people that we love.
I love it. So we can keep loving after we're absolutely shredded, and we're like, kind of like, pulling yourself out of the mud or whatever the heck you want to compare that to. You did say something that I really love. It's hard, but you say, I'm not afraid of making mistakes. I'm not afraid of, doing it wrong until I figure out what really resonates to make it right. Tell me a little bit about that and how that came about in your life, because nobody looking at you says, oh my gosh, how could she have made any mistakes, right?
Oh, a million mistakes. I just think that's how we learn and grow, and that's my goal in life every day is to learn and grow every day, every day. I don't wanna stay stagnant. I don't wanna know everything. I wanna constantly be stretching myself into new terrain.
Yeah.
That's why I write across all different genres and wear so many hats in the field and have had so many different jobs and careers throughout my life. I'm curious by nature. I love people. I love the world. I love adventure. I love nature. I can never fit enough in the day. Like there's so much joy out there to discover. And who cares if you mess up or you fail or you fall? Just do something else. Move on, learn and grow and it's worth it. It is worth making a mess, making a fool out of myself, making mistakes, failing. I'll do better next time.
I
It's okay.
want to say that synchronicity is kind of my jam, and I needed to hear this tonight. Obviously, the universe has my back because what you're
Oh,
telling me right now, like literally, is something that I think whoever is going to tune in needs to hear. It's the joy, it's the play, it's the universal fun. What's waiting for
yes.
you. Don't get stuck in what you've done that's not resonating well. Move on to see what can come from
Yeah.
falling on your face, which I will tell you this before I came on here. I don't know why, but Instagram, I always say there's NSA, the National Security Administration, involved because I'm watching these videos of these people falling on their face on the red carpet. And I'm like, what is that? Why am I attracting that today? But I will tell you that one of actually, I love this quote for today, and it's really quite appropriate because I think, when we go back to, thinking about karma and how we live our lives, this might resonate for whoever is out there listening. It's not about how you achieve your dreams. It's about how you lead your life, which speaks to you, by the way. If you lead your life the right way, the karma will take care of itself and the dreams will come to you. And that's Randy Pausch, the last lecture. And I loved listening to that. That was an amazing
Yeah.
experience to hear him speak before he passed away and left his last book for all of us.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the whole idea of karma. What a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I tell my friends all the time, karma's a mirror. So what you put out, it's coming back to you, baby. It's right in the mirror. I think this heightened awareness that we all might have of how our actions can affect our lives and other people's lives in unexpected ways later. You set out to live that best version of yourself. And, whatever that is for today, it might not be the best version that we're proud to praise, but the bottom line is for today, that was pretty, pretty damn good. But I think that as we move forward from our mistakes, we learn what we need to learn. And the way we decide to live from that becomes a choice. And then that's where the whole awareness and the conscientious and the consciousness comes into play. And the feeling we get from that incredible, karmic right action, so to speak, is a wonderful thing as our dreams come to us. I'd love to know your thoughts on that as well.
Well, I agree with everything you just said. I love the book, The Last Lecture. It was beautiful and inspiring in every way. I think everyone should read it. It should be studied in classrooms. It's just wonderful and inspiring. But yes, I think sometimes I feel like karma is asleep at the wheel. But sometimes I want to shake her and wake her up. But I do agree. Life is a series of choices, one choice stacked after the next, the next. And all we can do is make the best choice we can at any given moment and be okay with it. Make the choice, come to it with good intention,
Yeah.
make the best choice we can in that moment, and then keep moving and keep moving. That's all we can do. And if we do that, we can look back at anything and feel at peace, knowing we did the best we could do at that moment.
Yeah.
We
And
might change that decision now looking back, but at that moment, that was the best we knew to do?
I think that's really to your point. It's very important that you really, really think about with all the information you had at that point in time in your
Yeah.
life, that was the best thing that you could do.
Yep.
And from there, we move forward, embracing what that is. So, Louie's here. Hi, Louie. I want to welcome him. And, Leslie's saying karma is sometimes in hiding, but it surprises us when we least expect it. I don't know if that's a double entendre to that, but I absolutely, I count on that, especially when good things happen for me by virtue of other people coming into my life, and I want to go back to your book Perennials, and love the name of the book first of all, and I'm going to share everybody like the first beautiful quote that you have, and I will say there is no reason to fear the changing seasons. Perennials. So first of all, Tell me about your book, because everybody, this is the latest one from you. Is that correct?
It's the latest novel that I published under my name. I've spent the last few years doing a lot of co-writing, editing, and ghostwriting. So this is the last full length work of fiction under my name that came out. But I've had other books since then. It is set in Oxford, Mississippi, mostly, and also Arizona, Phoenix, and Sedona. And it is about two sisters who have become estranged and their family. And they're this wonderful family from this. I lived in Oxford, Mississippi for 17 years. I wanted to write a love song to that community. It's wonderful. But they have this wonderful Southern family that looks like the perfect family from the outside. But like any family system, there is some pain and hurt. And after Lovey, the main character, has left home and gone off and made a life for herself in Arizona, as far away as she could get in her mind. And her father calls her home for their 50th anniversary, her parents' 50th anniversary. And we have to see what happens when she comes home for 3 weeks. And the old wounds start to surface, and the pains are all there, and the family is spinning, trying to deal with things they've never dealt with all these years. And so it's just examining again love and loss and the way life, I think sometimes the highest moments and the lowest moments happen at once.
Oh, wow.
And so sometimes when we're being given this wonderful experience, everything crashes at the same time. And I'm always interested in how that happens, how the universe kind of seems to, it's like the more light you shine, the more dark comes at you. It's just, there's that equal and opposite reaction kind of thing. Yeah. So I like to play with those kind of things. And then it's just based in nature in the South and the literary culture of Oxford, Mississippi that people don't all know about. It's a very literary town.
And there's no reason to fear the changing seasons. What was your intention with that particular quote?
Yeah, I think the whole book is a honestly a riddle of time. I flash back and forth in time because trauma triggers do that to us. We'll be going about our day and then we get triggered and we're all of a sudden jolted back. Yeah, we're jolted back. And so we see that happen to Lovey a lot. She gets jolted back and forth in time when she experiences something that triggers her. It's about release and continuation and surrender, radical surrender and forgiveness and love and accepting people for who they can be and who they are. My mom always told me, love people for who they are and forgive them for who they're not. And that's kind of the theme of the book.
Oh my God, that is so freaking powerful. Your mom said, love people for who they are.
Forgive them for who they are not.
Wow, that is quite powerful. What is your mother's name?
Cindy. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. And this is how many books into your career is this book?
Well, that's the fourth novel that's on my name. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's amazing. And you do a lot of nonfiction too. I've seen that's amazing. Yeah.
I do a little bit of everything: nonfiction, creative nonfiction, memoirs, poetry, children's book. I mean, I like to play. I like to explore what we can do with these creative energies. And I believe wholeheartedly that everybody has a creative outlet and that it's there for a reason for us to process all the junk, and take all the negative in the world and kind of convert it back into something positive, something nice for the universe.
You're gonna laugh. Today I was on with a GoDaddy, and I know this is a little bit a side talk. And the guy was trying to fix my website, and he looks at my book, and he's like, "Well, do you mind if I ask you what this is about?" And talk about creative energy. I was like, he really wants to know what my book's about. So I said, I read to him the quote about creative abundance and karma. He goes, it's getting really dark in this world. I appreciate the insight. And I was just like, back to your point, there's a different, even every opportunity that we have, you said the light, obviously I wasn't there with a happy face because my website's gone down.
It's not fun.
he kind of spoke to this Harry Potter muggle, muggles and the wizard. But you're back to your point, with regards to the creative, play, you're very good at that. And a lot of your quotes that you put out into the world on your social media speaks to that and remind everybody to get out there and start to play again, which I do love. So I want to recognize that. This is another one from your book, from the Perennials. That's because I decided a long time ago not to fall into a box. It doesn't matter what people call me. Fact of the matter is, I'm all that encompasses this human journey, and change is constant. That can't possibly be summed up in one little word. Oh my God, tell me what about this one? I
Well,
love
that's from a character who's in her 90s, and she's just a spitfire, firecracker, go-getter kind of woman. And she's kind of an elder, in her community. She's up in Sedona, and she's still hiking and teaching yoga, and just she's a spiritual mentor.
it.
She explores life from every angle and has no fear, and she's very independent. And Lovey looks up to her as a mentor, and I think she's trying to say, you can call me old, you can call me fragile, you can call me weak, you can call me whatever you want to call me, but I am just doing me,
Yeah,
whatever that is in the moment, and making the most of every moment she's given. And I love older women. I just think they're so wise, and have older men too, like just older people have so much to teach us. And I think we underestimate what they're capable of and how much wisdom they can offer us. And so I love to show that cross-generational the value of cross-generational relationships, in my books. So that was her. Yeah.
I love that you named your lead character Lovey. Lovey, that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is there a reason behind you calling her that?
It's her nickname, and her sister's nickname is Bitsy.
Okay.
And, those kind of are self-explanatory. Lovey's a very loving heart. She's very empathetic and compassionate and giving and forgiving. And she has yielded and surrendered to the extreme in her sister's shadow all of her life. Her sister Bitsy is kind of the harder one, and she's very pathologically envious of her sister. Even though Lovey is kind, she can't, Bitsy's got her own fragile wounding. And so we don't always see people grow and change and become loving and open and kind the way we would like for them to. And sometimes the people we love most are the ones who hurt us most. They can't hurt us if we don't love them that much, right?
Yeah.
So I was surprised how many readers have responded to those kind of sibling estrangements and difficulties and pains that so many people have. I didn't realize it. I didn't write it because of an estrangement I have with my own sibling. So I was surprised to find that kind of feedback from everybody. It's so common, so common.
Wow. There is a lot of pain out there that's yearning to be healed. And I think
Oh, yeah.
that writing, especially storytelling, and a good storyteller, can really open the opportunities for many people to start those conversations. And it sounds to me like you do that very well, especially bringing all cross-generational, like you said, even, don't dismiss the people that would be seemingly not relevant in your world because you write them off.
Yeah.
Clearly, a person like this particular, like this is someone you want to really follow, because you're like, yeah, I don't really care what you do about, call me, say I'm living my life, I'm out there, really kind of being who I am, which we all, strive for that authenticity factor.
Yes. I mean, authenticity is everything to me. If you can't be really you, like I want people to feel like when they're with me, they don't have to
I love
wear
that.
any pretenses or any like be you, be real. There is nothing you can say or do that's going to make me not love you or see the good in you and see the light in you. And so authenticity is everything to me as a person, and I just want that to come through in my characters too. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then we have, of course, I don't mean to say it's all okay, but in that moment, I stopped trying to make sense of such things. I stopped fighting the loss, demanding explanations. When I did that, when I surrendered, I felt the anger and fear leave me just like that. Oh my God. Okay, listen, I read this because I was doing the memes for you, and I was just like, oh my God, surrender. Stop harboring the like just let it go, let it to get it, or whatever that means to you. Because, it's kind of like the story of the two monks that are walking on their way to their town, and they're not supposed to talk to women. And they saw this woman crossing the water, and one of the monks went over to help her cross, and then put her down, and then went back to walk with their friend. And at the end of the day, the monk finally says, I have to say something. Why did you do that? You're not supposed to do that. And she goes, oh, I let that go long ago. You seem to have been carrying it up until this point. It's that, but we had a lovely journey. Why would you carry something that was done and in the past, and you can't change it? It is what it is. And this, what I thought of when I was reading this. I was like, I have a hard time surrendering. I don't know about you. Tell me a little bit about this, what your thoughts are.
Surrender is not easy, especially when, I think it's hard. It's really hard when we're trying to save someone we love and we can't save them from themselves, when we can't protect ourselves from being hurt, by somebody, or protect them from hurting themselves. And we have no control over the choices that anybody else makes. We can only control our own choices. And so I think Lovey, through her journey, realizes she cannot change who her sister is. She cannot change her sister's heart. But what she comes to learn in the end is she can still be her in that space without letting her sister devour her. She doesn't have to give up everybody she loves and the home she loves and the community she loves to make space for her sister's choices. She can live in parallel to that without being devoured. And that's the key, isn't it? Learning to love people as they are without letting them devour us and without hurting them in return,
Wow, that is quite a skill. That is quite a
Yeah.
skill because at the, I guess what you're saying to that point is, otherwise you let them rob you from your joy. And that is really what you were talking about at the beginning, is that there's so many opportunities to feel joy, to feel bliss in this world, to focus on those things that you can't change, people who you can't change, you know, what would your characters, like, at the end of the day, say to something like that? What is the best tools that they have? And ultimately, I don't want to get to the end of the book and see what happened as far as the two
Mhm.
family members, resolve it. But it's quite empowering when you do get to the point where you're like, okay, you do you. That's what you choose to do,
That's
right?
all you can do, and you love them anyway, and you hope they don't destroy themselves, but you don't let them destroy you or the other people in their path as much as you can, whatever you can control of it, but then the rest you have to just kinda surrender. I mean, I think too, the big theme of this book is truth,
No, I love.
and, Lovey gets it's easy to get shaken from your truth when there's someone telling you things about yourself that aren't true, and telling other people things about you that aren't true. And so a lot of it is Lovey reclaiming her truth and learning that she is strong enough to say, this is who I am. I'm not who you say I am. I'm not who you tell other people I am. This is who I am, and I know it now. I'm
Yeah.
not going to let you shake me from that. And once you can stand
Oh,
steady in your own truth, then it's a lot easier to surrender all the other pieces, because you aren't scrambling trying to convince somebody else of something, or to be something, or to believe something. Like, you just have to accept that their truth might look different than yours, but you know your truth, and
wow.
you can anchor yourself in that, and be at peace.
Wow, that is so incredibly powerful, because the fact of the matter is you're the only one living in your skin on a daily. And
Yeah.
like, back to authenticity that we're talking about, you truly want everyone to know, whoever's in your vicinity, that what you see is what you get. And that is such an amazing, like Leslie's saying, great point, because you own your truth. And if other people don't like it, well, don't apologize for it. Just reflect that, okay, all right,
Yeah.
you told me, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But, I wonder, how that helps you when you're working with people surviving abuse. I imagine that that must be quite and powerful, perspective to bring to that particular, group of people.
It's kind of everything, because a lot of people can survive a lot of stuff as long as they have one person in the world that kind of anchors them to their truth and helps them steer clear of the spin and the fog and the psychological, gaslighting, all the stuff that happens when you're in abusive situations, manipulation situations. But if you don't have that one person to kind of anchor you, or you don't have deep roots of faith or something that anchors you to that truth, it's easy to get lost in that spin. And in Lovey's situation, her family loved her. They were a good family. They were good people, but they didn't stand up for her and speak her truth. And so she got lost in that spin, and she had to just run. She couldn't, she was being devoured by it.
Wow.
And by the time she comes back years later, she figures out a way to say, no, this is my truth, and I'm going to speak my truth and hold my truth. It's not always easy to do, especially in the face of a manipulator or an abuser, or, those kind of people. They can be very devout. They can aim for a target and not stop until you're gone. I mean, a lot of people do that, unfortunately. And Lovey was the target of her sister. So we learn why. It's also an exploration of the family systems that are involved in that kind of situation. How, if one of her parents might have stood up to her sister, and set the truth straight, maybe there would have been a different story. But nobody ever did that for her. They just kind of let her deal with it. And sometimes you need people to stand in your corner with you, you know?
Wow. Yeah. This is my year of magical connections. So every time I'm like, oh, I got another one. I'm good. It's because all, like you said, people that are aligning from that place that you find yourself, and then if you are standing in your truth, you know that intuitively those are going to be magical connections, because you're not putting on airs. You're actually just showing up as yourself. So the
Mhm.
people who meet you there, you're
Yeah.
just smile and nod and thank them. Thank you for joining me here, rather than being devoured, like you said, by them, which is an appropriate word, especially when you're dealing with people who are manipulative, narcissistic, whatever you want to
Yeah.
speak to.
Yeah.
And I'm loving this book. I'm excited. You can't give anyone so much of yourself that if he runs off with it, there's nothing left of you. Protect your spirit, girls. It's the only one you've got. Wow. Is this from the older woman? I'm wondering. Who said this in the book?
That's a good question. I'm wondering who says that. I can't remember.
Well, clearly you said this.
It's been a while since I wrote it. I'll have to go back, and that's a really good question, Meg. You stumped me. I'm gonna have to go back and think about that.
Well, what resonated with me was that you put out that pink lady social media, where you're trying to get
Oh
people.
yeah.
I love it. And I was like, oh yeah, like, like it's like a gang, a good gang of, people who are like cheering each other on, that you got to protect your spirit, you take care of yourself. Like you could speak to I loved that you did that. So of course I was going to say something tonight. So go ahead.
I just think, I think the point of that quote, it's killing me that I don't know who said that in the book, is we, it is easy to yield and adapt and sacrifice one little thing and then one little more thing and one little more thing. People can adapt to any situation when it's a gradual slide. People wonder why you end up in abusive situations, or how people survive things like the Holocaust camps. You can adapt to things that are unimaginable if you have no choice, or if it's a slide and you don't realize what's happening. But eventually it's gone. Your spirit's gone. Like that one, pivot point over the line, over that threshold, and you're gone. And I think that was the point of the quote. Just, don't give so much of yourself away that you don't have anything left for you. People will take everything you let them have sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people will.
Some people, until you like kind of, like you said, get those people in your corner that hold you to what you're saying here. Protect your spirit, girls. It's the only one you got. And back to your pink lady, I was like, what is the inspiration behind that? I loved it. And then maybe you can explain to the audience, what it is that you were talking about.
Oh, well, I just, how they have those viral sounds on Reels and TikTok and all that. That was one of those that I just saved. I'm going to make a girl gang and, get a bunch of women around that support each other wholeheartedly. And if enough people come together, we're going to get jackets. I just thought it was cute and funny. But I was obsessed with Grease and Grease 2 when I was a kid. And I knew every word. I wanted to be Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Stephanie Zanoni. I loved those films so much. And I don't know. I think girlfriends are so important to have these. I mean, I love men too. I am not I'm not one of those male bashers. I think men are wonderful, and I think we all need to join together. There are healthy and unhealthy people across all the spectrum, and we need to join together to help elevate the good souls in the world. But there is something special about a sisterhood, and we need that as women. We need safe spaces to tell our stories. We need a circle around us to elevate one another. And I just think it's the good magic happens when we come together and do those kind of things for each other.
And since you're all about, empowering women too, I love that's really very, I think you do have to have those safe spaces sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like, you want to share your truth, but there's not really the trust there, and you've got to build the trust. And I think that's quite beautiful. Especially, I always say, shame on the women that don't provide that and don't take care of their own, because at the end of the day, we're only hurting ourselves in many ways. So I commend, and I did like the pink ladies too, by the way.
Aren't they great?
I was like, oh my God, I was like, for a second there, I was like, does she really want to start this? Because
yes. I really do. I think we should get jackets. I really do. And, I think it's a great character study too, as for writers. Go study the characters of the pink ladies and the T-birds, all the different personalities that come together. They did a great job with that.
They did a great job. absolutely. I'll never forget when I first saw Grease for the first time with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. It
Yeah.
was one of those family moments. My mother had to calm me down, and we're like, "What are you having us watch?" And it was like the best. It was the best, the
Yeah.
best. And this is the last one. We don't always see the miracles taking place around us, within us, but that doesn't mean they aren't happening. And this is I'm so happy you put that out there, because it is definitely close to my heart. I'm always saying, when you feel like you're down and out, don't forget that the universe is, stirring something wonderful up. The miracles are just about to happen, so don't give up. And back to your point, like with regard to the family, I love that you see the world like this, and I've known you enough that I see that you see the world like this. So please speak to this, because I absolutely love it, and I really will encourage everyone to get her book Perennials, because it seems like an amazing experience of a family looking to heal itself. So go ahead, tell me what you think about
Yeah, I think they are looking to heal themselves, and the father's determined to kind of bring them all together before it's too late and heal these fractures. Yeah, they're in the garden, and the garden symbolizes so much for us about seasons of life, and when we don't think anything's happening, a lot's happening that we can't see,
Yeah.
and there are times when we have to release and let go. There are times when we have to stretch and grow and go through hardening seasons, and then there's times when we have to kind of lay low and think that we might not come back up for air, but we do. And we just have a lot to learn from those natural cycles of nature. And that's kind of what that point was, that when we feel abandoned, and I don't know, whether you have faith or not, but the kind of moments when you're on the floor, screaming into the air, is there a God? And how can there be a God? And if this is happening to me, and if there is a God, why don't you help me? And in the background, there is a lot more happening than we might be able to see or know, if we can just hold on, one breath at a time.
I always say that the acronym for HOPE is hold on, possibilities exist,
Yeah.
and if you can keep your mind on that, and like you say, don't lose your spirit, don't lose
Yeah.
who you are, that makes you so beautiful, then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you'll see your miracle. You just
Yeah.
it might knock you off your socks how amazing it is, because you didn't give up, and someone's watching you who decided not to give up because of you too, which I think is double, like the double miracle, the double blessing of the moment, which,
Sure.
yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think that, you do write inspiration. You do that every day, like I said, with regard to what you post. And I, of course, do appreciate other people in that realm, because sometimes we all need inspiration to keep going, right? It's something that goes,
Well,
yeah, hello.
I mean, like you said, even the IT guy was feeling like the world is dark right now. I think everybody feels just a little bit overwhelmed right now. And so any kind of light we can shine in the world, any kind of dose of hope we can offer, you just never know who's going to scroll across that at a moment when they are ready to give up. And it matters to me. It matters a lot to me if that's just one person whose soul we shape, who we give breath to again, then that matters.
Let me ask you, because I think that, one of the things I love is asking people about their TED Talks. And one of the things that you've done is a TED Talk.
Yeah.
And how many, I don't know if you've done more than one.
There's just one. Yeah.
Okay. So what was your mission when you were on that stage? I know that you're a teacher too, so it's something that comes quite naturally to you. I mean, if you watch your TED Talk, you can see that, there's this wonderful conversation you're having, which I think is the best, because you're like
Oh,
actually
thank you.
bringing people in. But tell me, what was it going on in your mind, what was the message that you wanted to bring across to people who are listening?
That's a really good question, because, when they called and asked, it was honestly like at one of the worst moments of my life possible. It was the worst time of my life to need to do that. But how do you say no to something like that? It was a big honor. And then you're given 18 minutes, and that sounds great and like no big deal when you're a speaker. But when you really think, okay, I have 18 minutes to say one message, what do I really want to say? What is the one thing I have to say to people?
Yeah.
That if this is all I ever get to say, what is it? And that was a little more challenging than I expected, to kind of drill down and think, okay, what's the one thing? What's the one thing? And for my thing, it's love and be loved, and constantly move toward the light. And also move others with you toward the light. So every time we pass somebody on our path, we have an effect on them, and we are going to nudge them one way or the other. We're going to nudge them toward the light or toward the dark,
Yeah.
whether we mean to or not. And so if we can try to move intentionally through the world and be aware of the impact we have on others, we can try our best to add more light to the world and move people toward the light as much as we can. And that's all we can do.
That's a lot. I do believe that if you come to life from a place of love, it changes the conversation from that point forward. If your intention is there and you really are open to seeing through that kind of perspective. And the fact of the matter is, I'm with you. I'm with you 1,000,000%. Having been in the dark myself, I think that's the best. I mean, I hate to say that, you go through your own rivers and your valleys and everything, you go through it. But I think the empathy that comes from that place is so much different. It's like, okay, it's not the end of the world. Believe me, this is not the end. I see you. We got this. That bringing together, that taking along is something that changes someone else's world, which your ripple effect will go wildly beyond your imagination. What was the greatest takeaway from that experience from you?
It was an emotional experience because I was back in my home community, which had just flooded. We had the Great Flood of 2016. All my family flooded. Everybody I knew flooded. The parish that I grew up in lost more than 85% of the properties went underwater, and less than 15% had flood insurance. It was not a flood zone.
Wow.
And so it was a devastating trauma. And more than, I think, 14 or maybe even 21 county parishes across Louisiana flooded and declared emergency. So it was huge. And so it was the year anniversary. The library had just opened back, and there was just this big special thing. So it was very emotional for many reasons, for that and lots of other stuff happening in my life. So I think for me, it was just personal, and I thought it was going to be a small impact and just a few people from the community would see it, but it has had a lot of views, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from it, and a lot of people have written to me thanking me for the message in it. It's not perfect. It's one of those things where I wish I could have a redo. I'd wear a better dress, I'd get my hair fixed better, I'd practice a little more, all of those things. But I think the heart of the message is there, and when it's received from people at the right time, I think it's helping make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So that's a beautiful, powerful gift that's been given to me, that I feel grateful for it. I do. Yeah.
And you've taken the ability to speak, and you've told me at the outset of the green room that you've taken that gift of yours, that teaching gift, that messages that you bring across, and you've gone to different stages with that message.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do get to speak a lot. I don't look at it as speaking. As you said, I'm an educator. I look at it as teaching. It's just a different classroom. So I never get stressed or think of it as like a show or a performance or me in the spotlight. I just think of it as another opportunity to connect with not students, but kind of students. Do you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
People, yeah. That's all.
You have something that you tell yourself before you go on, because it's something that I think a lot of people are afraid to do. Yet if they have like some sort of mantra that might push them to jump past the fear, is there something that you?
Yeah, actually there is. It's a prayer for me. I just pray every time before I speak or do anything, please give me the right words, delivered in the right way to the right person at the right time. And that's all I can do, is just hope that whatever comes through me, like I said, even if it just connects with one person and gives them the hope that they need or the belief that they need to get through the moment. I mean, I lost my brother to suicide as a teenager. And so this is just like my mission in life I feel like is always to try to just let people know, hold on, hold on, hold on. It's going to get better. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Oh, wow. And I can see like something like that, how that would just like how it impacted your life and the trajectory of where you went with your journey. I don't even know what I would do if that would have happened, God forbid, but at the same time, look what you've created for your world and anyone who comes into that space with you. It's just beyond beautiful. And the fact that you say what you say is kind of like a channel. You get to be a channel of whatever, like I always love the channel of your peace. Any peace that needs to come from you maybe will reach someone's ear to be that light that they might need at that point. And I think that's just beautiful. I think that when a person's intention to do that, it just goes beyond the realm of the world. And it's a little bit heavenly, I think, personally myself. But I wanted to, it's so funny because I think one of the cool things about this show, and I will say that because I love manifesting, it's really something that I know people are always so like, well, Meg's like, I like to call myself the queen of manifesting. And I always say, I see somebody and I'm like, oh, ooh, so interesting, so exciting. I want to learn more. I want to know more. Like, those are the tools that I can learn to better my life and to play with the universe more. Because I will be honest with you, I do go dark quite a bit. So it's really an intentional process to show up. And it's like, you're such a bright light. Oh, honey, it is not always that way. And I'm honest about it, especially, what I was telling you before, my job, I had to hear these horrible stories, about, people being, persecuted in many different places, or people being the persecutors. So I'm very empathetic. It's hard to separate the two. So at least, I mean, one of my beautiful things I use is self-care. Like, no, enough. I've had enough. I'm done,
Yeah.
actually making that line. So for you, I'm curious, what are some of the tools that you use so that you can continue delivering these beautiful messages to the world? Because I think they're so important. I want to support you in doing that. So.
Well, thank you. It's true. I think we only have so much capacity for pain, and when we're trying to carry other people's pains, like people who are social workers, things like that, like us, so that we get told a lot of pain throughout the day. People tell me their stories. I'm exposed to a lot. And so there are times when I have to just find the beauty again, find the good again, because you do start to lose hope that there are good people out there doing good things. And I never want to lose that sight of that. There are so many good people out there doing good things and who are determined to make the world a better place and who love and want to be loved. And we can never let ourselves harden from, like you said, there are people who have, when bad things happen to us, when trauma happens to us, like a tragic loss or abuse or all of these terrible things that can happen, we can become the monster. We can harden up and become the villain and become the abuser and become the aggressor, or we can feel the pain, process the pain, convert it into something beautiful and positive, and go back out in the world and dare to love again. And that takes a whole lot more strength and courage than it does to harden up and be hateful.
Yeah.
And we just have to keep finding the courage and the faith and the resilience to do that and choose that every day.
I will say this, and I was talking to the GoDaddy guy, and I said, sometimes you need to have a news diet, right?
Yeah.
Because, man, if you're someone who needs to not hear, listen, we have to be aware. I get it, but not inundated or devoured by. I love the word that you use, devoured by the newsreel of the day, which are trying to capture your attention. So you're back to what you are saying now. I mean, you hear stories all the time and you hear the darkness and you're like, what's the point? What's the point? You might say that, throw your arms up, and what's the point? But the reality is that we need all of us. Like I was thinking about how runners, they go around like the relay races, they pass the baton.
Yes.
You do your run and you pass the baton. It's like this collaborative effort
Yes.
to keep us going in the right direction. And and that's what came to mind as I was listening to you, what you were speaking about. And back to those wonderful tools, or how do you, I hear you say that you say a prayer before you go and you teach, which is a wonderful centering tool. I mean, how else do you take those moments? Because you're very light, you shine, you do shine, and everybody who knows you knows that. How do you go back to that space when you're not feeling so bright and shiny?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy. Like you say, I do stay away from the news. I read the news every morning. I read my news feed, but I do not watch or listen to extreme one-sided news. I'll listen to NPR or some channels that try to be kind of moderated. And there's different shows on there that are better than others, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if it's based on emotion, like just trying to rile me up and there's 10 people talking on top of each other, I just don't listen to that. I feel so much better not exposing myself to those kind of energies.
Yeah.
I think it's about energy and deciding where we're going to put our attention and our focus in the day. We only have so much, resource of time and energy. What are we going to let come into us?
Yeah, I think that's
What
really
are
important. Like that's
Yeah,
what you just said, you know, the energy we have, the time we have, all
yeah,
of these different like people or, you know, noises trying to attract our attention. I guess back to the point with, you know, are the right choices, what we get to choose at the beginning, it's still something that we can really be conscientious about all during the day. And
yes.
I love, you know, these are the conversations I love to have with extraordinary people because I learn something all the time. And it really does come to me in my life. And I get to say, oh my God, yes, I remember that we were talking about this and that's important. And to know that there are other people like you out there in this world, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not doing this alone, which I think is something that everybody needs to hear all the
Mhm.
time. So, back to the intentional point of this particular, you know, beautiful conversation we've had so far, and I've learned so much. What was your intention for this conversation today?
Okay, I wrote it out. Let's see if I can read it without my glasses. Okay, so my intention is I will see the light in all people and love them as if that's all I see.
Oh, wow.
At the same time, I will shield myself and others from any destructive behaviors that come our way
Yeah.
in the best way that I can to my ability.
Part two to that two-part intention was really as important as part one. It's a combo, 1-2 punch. Because yeah, the fact it is that you do intend, but it's that kind of like, but I'm not going to allow, you know, or I'll do my best not to allow the toxic to come in and invade. Like you said, don't become the monster that has abused you in the first place. So what is the page number of the magical guide that you picked? And generally I say what resonated with you. You could go ahead and read, you know, what it was that would speak to that particular intention.
Well, I chose page 8, which I guess may not have been the best choice as far as the theme because it's about the new year or whatever, but actually it's perfect because it's about forgiveness and
Hmm.
new beginnings, which just is exactly what Perennials is about.
Oh, that's
New
awesome.
beginnings and starting anew and just, giving ourselves new chances every day. So yeah, it's all about forgiveness. Do you want me to read some of that?
Well,
Is
if
that
there's something that's like jumps out to you, go ahead and read that and you share a little bit about it kind of matches the synchronistic, you know, 1-2 punch. I like that you were talking in the one and two. Go ahead.
Well, I like that you can and will, as you renew your spirit, move toward being whole again. It's that seasonal transition that we're just talking about. You're going to have broken seasons, but you can and will renew your spirit and you will be whole again. I mean, that is our goal, I believe, on
Yeah.
the human journey is to get through this with our spirit, our soul intact.
Yeah.
But life's going to try to destroy it, and that's what we have to suffer, we have to know pain, we have to get through it. Everything's going to try to devour that little spirit, and the end game is get to the end with that spirit still there intact and
Right.
whole and loving. Yeah.
Yeah. Put your pink
Whole.
lady jacket on and protect your spirit, girl.
Yes.
I,
We do need jackets.
I absolutely love that. That is amazing. You know, I will, I definitely want, you know, back to the whole manifesting component of, you know, embracing a path that you want to follow, that, you know, a life that you want to lead. And, you know, what is the one thing that you do? And with all these novels that you've written and all this, you know, different literary wonder that you put out there, what is one of the things that moves you forward in your life with eyes as big and curious as you say that you are?
That's a really hard. I don't know the answer to that. I just think my nature is to be very, very curious and open, like you, Meg. I mean, you love people, you want to know, you want to meet more people, you want to hear more stories, you want to experience life to the best, fullest that you can every day. I think some of us are just by nature very curious, and
Yeah.
we don't want to let a day go by that we don't savor the wonder.
Yeah.
Witness the wonder.
Witness
Yeah,
wonder. And
yeah.
for you, this wonder component, how do you see that unfolding, you know, in the coming months or the year? I know that you're doing the story summit. So in December,
Yeah.
all of you out there, and Leslie and Suzanne and I are going to the story summit. So we're happy that we get to meet you in person. But
That's exciting. I can't wait. Okay, yes, we will be in Santa Fe in December with the Stories Summit. I have, we do online Women of Our Words retreats. They're just online little workshops on Saturdays. I have one coming up in June. Those are very affordable, and we do a lot of, it's just a safe circle for women. I teach small groups through the Story Summit every quarter. That's the way I reach out and help people. Of course, all of that kind of stuff, editing and coaching and all that thing. But, to me, wonder, get outside, take a walk, smell the flowers, plant something, grow something, notice something, listen to the birds. When you're out there, think about what you hear, think about what you see, think about what you can touch, think about what you can smell. Connect. We become
Yeah.
so numb to the wonder, and it's just all around us, and we need to notice. We
No,
need to be connected to it.
I love it. And I love it. Savor the wonder, connect to the wonder, all the above. Leslie's saying yay. So we're all looking forward to the wonder. I've never been to Santa Fe, so that should be
Yeah,
wonderful. And
yeah.
I get to be with you beautiful women, and
Yeah.
men are welcome to come too. Is it just a lady thing?
That is just a lady thing, but they are gonna have other things open to men as well. In fact, they have a free thing this week. I think they're starting a new group for men, that's gonna be a support group for men, male writers and creatives. There's a lot of screenwriters and other, people in film industry in that group too. So, yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful place for men to gather too.
Very
Men
exciting.
men need it too. You need the manhood circles. We need the sisterhood circles. We need to help each other. Life is not a solo endeavor for sure.
And I can tell you, the more of us that, like you say, connect and bring it, I can say this, we'll all be better off. And all of us keeping our minds open to the curiosity and wonder, like you're saying,
Yeah.
just amazing. And as far as I get to ask, my wrap up is the final inspiration for today as we go out this wonderful May. Like I said, keep your eyes on the May flowers. This is perfect for you because you just came from your garden. Um, what kind of final inspiration do you have to give us on this beautiful evening?
Oh, flowers. I'll end it with perennials. I mean, the whole message of perennials, love comes back. Love comes back. Life comes back.
Oh, I love it.
Don't think it's the end until it's the end.
Oh,
It's
wow.
not the end yet. Yeah.
That is beautiful. And I want to remind everybody that Julie does offer these wonderful writing opportunities, like to work with her. So you can find Julie and go ahead and tell us your website and everything, that all the fun stuff where people like say, oh my God, I need to talk to this lady because she's just awesome. I did. I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to this lady. She's just awesome. So do share where we can find you. So
That's so
that,
sweet, Meg. My website is juliecantrell.com. It's just my name. There's links to everything there. That I'm most active on Instagram every day. I'm usually around there at least once a day, as you know. So if someone wants to connect with me, that's the best place to kind of see what I'm doing day to day as far as events and workshops and that kind of thing. But yeah, reach out anyway, anyhow. And I always love to hear from people.
so absolutely, I would encourage everybody to go out and get her book Perennials. I mean, you've had a little bit of a view into what the message is all about, and I'm sure there's just so much more wonder and amazing flowers. Go out there and plant them with her. And the healing process of forgiveness and all of the good stuff in life. Especially if you're not feeling the good stuff in life right now, reading books like this will bring you hope and inspiration, so that perhaps you get a perspective from someone who clearly has a literary genius when they write, to bring that out so people feel like, okay, I can breathe again. There's some possibility for change, for inspiration, for something more. So I applaud you very much, Julie, with regard to this, as well as the other things that you do. I will encourage everyone to go on Instagram. I get to follow her every day, and I love the quotes. A lot of really empowered women quotes, and also from other different literary figures, as well as pink ladies. Everybody, yes, it's so fun, fun, fun. I also love putting my book next to yours, so all these butterflies and flowers and all of the above. I will say they're available, both of them, at Amazon, I'm sure. Also anywhere the indie bookstores, or anywhere indie books are sold. Also, yours are available all throughout in like Barnes and Noble, and all of your books. So definitely look up Julie, look up her wonderful, literary works, and go enjoy, give yourself a gift of that. I want to thank you so much, Julie, for this evening. This was wonderful. I really do appreciate all of it. It was such a great conversation. I'm so glad to be with you tonight. I can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for all that you have to share tonight with us all. And also for all of you, I really want you all to go live as deliberate creators of your own abundance. I mean, if this is what life has to offer, go find your joy, go find your bliss, dream big, and raise the positive vibration. And make sure you take some people with you if they don't look like they're vibing so high. Open their eyes to what you see. Don't leave anyone behind. I think that was a great message that Julie shared with us tonight. And let's love ourselves exactly where you are. Go listen to her TEDx. You'll love it. And reach out and continue to spread love, because it's time to manifest the life of our dreams. I wish you all bliss, especially to you, Julie, tonight.
Thank you,
And
Meg.
have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening as well.
Thank you, Meg, for everything you are and do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.